Hello and welcome back to Geek Space. So today, just with all the news about Superman coming out, all the hype, I'm hyped, I'm excited for it. I'm gonna go and rank all of the pretty much all of the Superman that we've seen in like animation, live action. There's a lot of them. So I'm just going to do like the 15 most prominent. So the way that we're going to be ranking it is a tier list. I've seen other people on YouTube do this, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. So the sections we have to label these Superman in is S, and that is like the Superman, which we'll get into. I'm not going to give an example. But then it'll go A, B, C, all the way to D. D is like, yeah, I didn't really like it. Yeah, so let's get into it. First, we're starting out with Kirk Allen. Now, this is the Superman back in the 1940s. This is what really kicked off live-action Superman adaptations. Now, I haven't seen the movies that he's in, but I have kind of watched a couple clips of them. And we're not really ranking these as who started out Superman. It is how good of a Superman were they. For Kirk Allen, I'm really going to put him in the A section. I'm only doing that because, again, like just with the clips that I've seen, there's definitely a lot more people on this list that I would consider like the Superman rather than Kirk Allen. So next we're getting into George Reeves. Now this is in late 50s. Again, haven't seen the movies he's in, but seen a couple clips just to kind of gauge how Superman was George Reeves. Quite honestly, I'm going to put George Reeves in the S tier. George Reeves honestly portrayed Superman pretty good for his time. Really like brought the character to life, and that's really where I would start my if you were trying to watch the live-action Superman movies, that's where I would start you off. Watch a George Reeves movie. Next, we're getting into Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve is going in the S tier before George, just because Christopher Reeves is Superman. He is the Superman. The best movies, in my opinion, the best portrayal of Superman has been Christopher Reeves. He just really brought the character to life when those movies came out. So he's it. He is the Superman. Now we're getting into Nicolas Cage. We have not officially ever seen Nicolas Cage as Superman unless you count the Flash movie. That's actually where this picture comes from. I'm going to put him in the C tier. And that's because I would have liked to see it. I don't know if I would have liked it, but I would have at least liked to see him give it a shot. I think the idea that they had, I have been able to read the script for the Superman movie he was going to be in. The story was pretty good. I kind of liked the idea that they had there. Nicolas Cage, to me, as an actor, though, it's very hit or miss. He has some really good roles, and some roles are, So him as Superman, I don't know. I would have liked to at least seen him attempt it. So that's why he's on the C, because I don't really think I can gauge how good of a Superman he was, except for what they showed us in The Flash, which was just a very short, small little thing. Next, we are to Dean Cain. My wife and I, Shaylee, we are actually watching Lois and Clark right now, and I think that we actually really enjoy the show. We're only in the first couple episodes. It's kind of goofy, but I really like the idea of a younger Superman. I really do, and I'll kind of talk more about that when we get to David Corn's set, but I really like the idea that they're portraying him kind of as a kind of younger, brand new Superman, trying to really figure out the Daily Planet and the secret identity thing. So I'm actually going to put him in the A tier before Kirk Allen. Now we're into our first voice actor, and it's Tim Daly. He is the Superman that I really grew up with because of Superman the Animated Series. And I'm honestly going to put him in the S tier only because he was the voice of Superman my entire childhood. And I mean, those shows, that's what I grew up on. That's the show I'm going to raise my son on, other than The Wiggles. You're welcome for pointing that out, Mom. Okay, now we're into Tom Welling. Now, this is another hard one to gauge, and I was really fighting on whether I should add him in or not, because we never really saw him as Superman. We saw him as Clark Kent and the Blur, and then the very last episode is when we actually see him in a Superman type suit. So for this one, I'm gonna put him in the B. Again, only because we never really saw him as Superman. We only seen him as Clark Kent. I honestly think he did a really good job with what the show was portraying. The show was never a Superman show. It was a Clark Kent show. And I really think that Tom Welling did a really good job with that. And it's honestly one of my favorite shows to watch. I really like it. Okay, so now we're on to Brandon Routh. Brandon Routh is... I'm rating him with Superman Returns at the top of my list, but Crisis on Infinite Earths kind of like on the bottom. So that's second. Superman Returns was the first Superman movie I had ever seen in theaters. So I'm really biased on that, and I really like Brandon Routh's portrayal, but it was the first time I've ever seen Superman in theaters. So that being said, I'm going to throw him in the A section after Dean Cain, only because I'm liking Dean Cain's portrayal of Superman a little bit more than Brandon Routh's, but again, I'm a little biased, and Brandon Routh was the first Superman that I've seen in theaters. Now we're at Jerry O'Connell, and he is the voice actor for like Justice League War, The Death of Superman, and Reign of the Supermen, which I actually really liked that animation style for DC. And I really wish they kept with it. And I really like those movies. I really like the story of it. Honestly, Justice League War has to be one of my favorite animated movies for the DC universe as a collective. And I'm going to put it at a high B, only because I feel like the S and the A's are getting a little cramped up there. But definitely high B is where I would rate Jerry O'Connell's Superman. I really like it. Again, I really enjoy those movies. The story is so well done. I think it just ended way too early. Okay, next we're at Henry Cavill, or Cavill, Henry Cavill. This one's so hard because I love Man of Steel. I love the movie. His portrayal of Superman is really, really good. I love the portrayal of Superman he did. Again, another Superman that ended way too quick. We never got the full story of the Man of Steel Superman. And just for what we got, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but for what we got, how we saw him, I'm going to have to put him as a high A, not in the S tier. And again, that's just because it was the writer's fault, not Henry Cavill's. Henry Cavill did a great job portraying Superman, but I wouldn't really say he is the Superman, just because we only got to see him in one solo film and 2 films where he was kind of a side character. Now we're talking about Tyler Hoechlin. He is the Superman for the CW or the Arrowverse. And again, another portrayal of Superman that I really liked, that it wasn't some, really big muscular guy like Henry Cavill. Don't get me wrong, it worked for him, but for the CW, I just really liked that it was kind of a more, laid back, relaxed, like, you would have to take a second glance at him to really realize he's Superman. It's not one of those things where you look at him and go, oh, well, he is a 6-foot monster of a man. I would think he's Superman. And I really like the way that he held himself to that standard. And I really like the contrast he did as an actor for Clark Kent versus Superman. I really enjoy Superman and Lois. It's a great show. I'm going to put him after Dean Cain on the A tier list. And I think that's a really good place for him. Okay, now we're into Darren Criss. He is the voice actor for the new style of animation for DC, Superman, Man of Tomorrow, and I think Legion of Superheroes is the next one he's in. I didn't mind Man of Tomorrow. I really didn't. I didn't mind that movie. I didn't mind. I don't mind Darren Criss as an actor by any means. I honestly think that he did a pretty good job portraying him. I'm gonna put him in the B after Jerry O'Connell. Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good place for it. Now we're at Jack Quaid. That's My Adventures with Superman. It's the brand new show coming out with. They actually are coming out with a second season here pretty soon. It's a very anime style. I'm not the biggest fan of anime. I'm really not. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really I'm intrigued with the show though. I'm intrigued with the story, but I'm gonna put it in the D section just because I'm not a huge fan of the art style. I'm just a fan of the story, to be quite honest with you. That's the only reason that I'm really, watching it. Now we're at David Cornsett, and it's not right for me to rate him, only because we haven't seen him as Superman yet. It's wrong of me to review and rank David Cornsett right now, just because we haven't seen him yet. I mean, that's coming in July of 2025, so we don't know. However, I did read the comics that he suggested is like the vibe of Superman Legacy, which is All-Season Superman and All-Star Superman. And if that is the direction that James Gunn is going with this, if this is the direction that this actor chooses to portray Superman in, he's definitely going to be in the S tier. Not a fan of the logo. I wish they went more traditional with the logo. But just, again, I read the comics that David Cornsett himself said, hey, these are what the vibe of this movie is going to feel like. This is kind of what we're shooting for. That's what James Gunn has also said they're shooting for. And if that's true, then he's earned a place in S tier, because those comics really encapture Superman. And I really can't wait to see what he brings to the screen. I have a lot of high hopes for James Gunn's DC, and David Cornsett leading us into that, I'm all for it. I'm not going to lie. I really think he's going to be the Henry Cavill for this next era of the DC universe. And I'm really excited to see what happens with that. So yeah, so in the comments, let me know what you think. Do you disagree? Where would you put somebody else? I want to know where I'm wrong. I want to hear from you guys. But yeah, other than that, thanks for geeking out with us.